I have on the brain all the time about marketing and client acquisition, essentially, right? How are we connecting with our clients? How are they finding us? What's our message to them? What are we offering them? All kinds of things. And again, I would definitely, let me type it in here. The book Lingo by Jeffrey Shaw. He has the podcast Self-Employed Life. Lingo by Jeffrey Shaw. If you are still kind of trying to sort out who your client is, how you can connect with them. And then just for anyone who starts a business is Self-Employed Life. The Self-Employed Life, also by Jeffrey Shaw, is his podcast and his book. And now he has, I don't know, 3 or 4 times a year, he has a whole cohort that he puts through the Self-Employed Institute. So I'd definitely suggest those 2 books when you're first starting out, or if you need to sort out better how to serve your clients. Patty, you need to do model calls. Yeah, model calls are fun. Yeah. Do you have questions about that? Or are you just talking about that as a marketing? So that's a great way when you're very first starting, because I know you're just about to like open your doors. That'd be a fantastic way to really beef up your portfolio, your social media, and really just like rain down on your your community. Like, wow, she's everywhere. Yeah, it's nice to do the model calls, and like if you're going to do a an opening special kind of a thing, just make sure everyone knows your actual end prices and products, and try to get them through the entire system. I don't know, like timeline. So even if these are going to maybe be low cost, no cost, whatever, at least they know your final prices and products, and they go through the whole thing. Like they do the consult if you do those, and they do the actual session exactly how you would run it. Then you do the viewing and ordering appointment. And if they end up ordering, obviously the delivery, and try to get them through your whole system, because that's part of the idea with model calls, right? And the portfolio invitations. It's not just the photos, it's your entire system. I know I did that, and I found some bugs in my system when I did that, just the way I did it, and some ways that I needed to know how to use my sales software. So it was really good. Let's see, what does Lisa have to say? Use model calls to get comfortable with the sales process. Oof, it does take some getting comfortable, doesn't it? My very first one, I'm not gonna lie, it was with my best friend. And it was back when I was doing all people portraits. I don't think I was doing pet photography at that time. Yeah, we did the whole thing. So I had just set up my laptop with Pro Select, sales software, and we did a whole like model session for her. We went to the park, we did the whole thing, and I edited everything. I got it loaded up into Pro Select. I made sure I had all my sizes, all my prices, taxes, everything set up in there. And then she came back over, and I showed her through them just like I would with a client, or I thought I would with a client. And since she was my BFF, still is, she was very honest with me. Said, "Ooh, that didn't seem right," or "that doesn't make sense," that kind of thing. So she was super helpful, because I knew that she would be completely, open with me, and I was not going to take it wrong, right? But then you need to graduate very quickly to your model calls and your regular clients, I think. So those are really, really great when you're first starting out. Now, model calls later on, I would not suggest necessarily. Those I would just kind of pivot into some limited edition type mini sessions that are fundraisers. That's another way. If you're a little bit more established, but you're not really interested in doing a model call, you can set up a limited edition and set that up with your favorite cause, and have part of the funds go to them. And I like to offer those occasionally uh, because I am a luxury brand, I guess, like Troy would say, is that I charge more than a lot of people are expecting. And so having a lower price point a couple of times a year, that I'm okay with. So if you do this and you go, "That was a whole lot of work and I didn't get very much money, I really don't want to do this again," don't get into that mindset. So if that happens, and you can try, like, you're going to try a million things for marketing, a million, 900,000 aren't going to work. That's okay. But it's looking back on it and going, okay, was it worth it? Did it tick off everything I wanted it to do? And if it wasn't, don't do it again. Or do it again, but tweak it a little bit. So just be cognizant of the outcomes and if it fulfilled what you wanted it to fulfill, whether that was outreach, fundraising, portfolio building, cash, all of those are fine. So any marketing you do, think about it later and go, okay, how did this actually work out? Do you find that what worked in the past for marketing doesn't work if you repeat it? Not necessarily. So there has been some things I've tried and I thought, "Oh my gosh, I made it too complicated." So maybe there's too many little actual things that I have, printed things, or it was just too many people mixed in the mix, or it cost me just too much overall, and some of those that I don't repeat. Um, but if you can think of that and just scoot it down to real small and still do it. So one thing that I've heard is you don't really know the results unless you try it 3 times. So, like, let's say this display marketing, right? So I put up this huge display at this groomer, and if that's the only display I ever did, do you think that I could crunch the data enough to say, "Yes, this is a good tactic," or "It's not"? Not really, because I need to do at least 3 different businesses. In my opinion. And then that's the more expensive way marketing tactic, of course, right? But if you're a higher end place, you're going to have to spend a little bit more money. So, in my thought, okay, so I've got a display up at a coffee shop, a display up at um, the really high end pet boutique in Old Town. I've got a display up at this higher end groomer. And if I've got this nice variety, then this type of thing, after about 6 months, I can crunch the numbers and go, okay, when I ask people, how do you find out about me? If they said display, sure, I'm going to do more displays. And so that's why I've done more displays. But if you're doing something like Spring Me, or what did I call it last year, Garden Pause, where I had the garden themed mini sessions, limited edition sessions, what that started out was those were just images I took just for the shelter. And then after a little bit, I thought, oh my gosh, people are asking if I'll do this for them. So I opened it up to the public and said, okay, so this, like in the morning, I think I did all of the shelter dogs. That was my volunteer piece. And in the afternoon, I scheduled like 15-minute back to back. This was pre-COVID, at this greenhouse. And I made money and I was able to donate. Now, I think it went great. I really liked it. If I were to do that again, I would change up the products I offered. I would run it a little bit different. I did not have a studio space at that time to meet the clients back again. I had another setup which was okay, but um, so the Spring Me I would do again, but it's really difficult these days with the COVID. So I just kind of scrapped it this year. Last year I did it in my studio and wore masks and thing, which was okay, but I could not afford to have a whole greenhouse look to the plants. So it just wasn't the same. So I thought, okay, it's run its course. I did the Spring Me pictures for like 5 years. 2 of them were paid options. And I thought, you know what? This is not something I want to continue with. Maybe down the road when I feel comfortable doing 15-minute back-to-back sessions at the greenhouse. Those were lush and pretty and wonderful. And we even had the flower collars and the whole thing. Maybe I'd revisit that. So I think that so in that case, for your question, Lisa, that was something that worked in the past, like, so part of that was a COVID thing, right? But also, when I tried it again and I realized what's my bigger picture and what do I really want to do, I kind of looked at that and thought, well, this is a cool, unique thing because I think that when you do a limited edition or a mini session type of thing, it needs to be something you don't normally do. That's my opinion. So the Spring Me at the greenhouse or in the studio with all of the greenery around, that's not something I normally do. I'm not usually prop heavy. Sometimes the clients will have a bow tie or something, or I'll have my little set of flowers, fake flowers. But I realized like I just don't do prop heavy stuff. And I felt like it came through. I wasn't jazzed about it. So that was another reason why I thought what worked before doesn't work now. My big goal with marketing and everybody in my community knowing who I am is just like they don't remember where they found me. They just know me from everywhere. That's kind of where I'm at a little bit in my community now. Um, So when I ask people, how'd you find out about me? Sometimes they're like, I'm not sure. I just know you from somewhere. A lot of times it's my work with the shelters. They see my car driving around. We were at the coffee shop yesterday morning and like the car pulls up. We're sitting outside. Car pulls up and she's like, Monique? I was like, "Yeah? Oh my gosh, I saw your car. I was hoping I could see you." And like, she's someone I'd met at a networking event, and I made a connection for her that we're working out good. Anyway, my husband's like, "You know everybody." I even saw somebody. Is he a photographer? I think so. And a videographer. One of the younger guys on YouTube with a big channel, and he was saying that where he shares photos now is Twitter. Not really even Instagram much anymore. I was like, "Geez, really?" And I hadn't been over to Twitter for a while, so I just threw something over there. I don't know if I'll really keep up on it, but that was his thought. He does a lot of higher end B2B stuff, though. He's not like B2C, like we are business to consumer. He's business to business. So I'm sure Twitter and like LinkedIn probably worked really well for him. I watched a podcast. I think it was one of Jeff's podcasts, and there was a couple of guys on there that own this business, and they email market, and they send an email. You're not going to believe this. They send an email every single day. I was like, "What?" And they had like all this data to back it up. Every single morning, he says, I put my coffee on to brew, and then I swivel this way, sit at my laptop, type out an email, send. By the time the coffee's done, his email sent every single day. Now, they are talking to people who want to up their email marketing game. So they are expecting to get emails. But it was a very interesting podcast because he also said, I make sure I have a call to action in every single email. So here's his little story of the day or his tip or whatever it is. And then, hey, by the way, if you want to learn more, here's this program or this course or whatever. So there's always a call to action. And he has a really good open rate and good sales rate. So I'm not saying you should write an email every day, but you can do stream of consciousness. And that's what Franklin's podcast is too. Every day, he just sits down with his coffee, talks 10 minutes about what's on his mind. And it's always helpful. It's always good stuff. So there's a lot of ways to do it. I know that is a commitment. Now, honestly, though, I could do it. You all know me. I'm the idea person. I actually could write an email every single day. But I would get real tired between everything that I do. Because at this point, I do write 2 emails a week, one for all of you and then one for my clients. So I do write 2 emails a week. And oftentimes there's at least one blog that goes with that. Oh my gosh. But I'm not putting that on my plate right now. I know if you watched my YouTube video last week, I prone to burnout without realizing it. So I will often want to execute on every idea, and then I get real burnt out and I don't see it until it's like, bam, I'm on the couch for a whole day. Just like, I can't even get the energy to sit in front of this computer. So, you're concentrating on LinkedIn. One of the things, Heather, when I teach at networking events and, conference type things, it's been online, but when I teach about social media, I talk about picking one first and going all in. If you're just starting with your social media presence and you want to make an impact and you want to feel like, okay, you got this, pick one. So that is perfect. If you're going to concentrate on LinkedIn, really go all in. And I'll help with burnout. So instead of just going, I'm going to go all in on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram and Twitter, that will definitely burn you out. As always, I wish you many woofs, purrs, and TREATS. Okay, bye everyone. Bye. See you in the Facebook group. Okay, bye.